Play button. I am so retarded sometimes, I tell you. Anyway, moving on to Paranormal Part 1. This is where it starts getting really interesting. This is where you start getting introduced to the future guardians of that baby Xavier. Um, and coincidentally, I had to find fighters, and since I'm not really into UFC and stuff like that, I decided to go with wrestling because um, they seem like they be uh, a little bit more interesting, you know. Well, this starts off with the scene dealing with Triple H and Rey Mysterio, like 15 years ago. You know, so they're a little more younger, they're in their 20s, and right there, starting off. Um, it starts off with we address him as Paul, but it's actually his real first name, Hanson. um, and he is sitting down thinking about the events of it at the time. Pretty much what I thought when I was a kid, kind of lackluster career. It looks like he had some things that he needed to push himself to get, and he's pondering about that. He's thinking like, what can I do to excel myself? Um, and he is addressed. I don't like saying people's full names, but addressed on the name of Paul. And this is happening around the times of WrestleMania 11. And he is sitting backstage, um, pretty much viewing the show through a television and just chilling and relaxing and thinking to himself. Um, and he ponders his possibilities with pride. He says, I am so close. The future holds great opportunities for me. Imagine me, my name in big lights. People paying money to come and see me amongst the others. What I want to give to step forward in time and see where I am in my career by then. It's an idea that's like a mental aphrodisiac to my senses, a sort of stimulant that keeps me in a mental sense to want to entertain and be the best there is in this business. You know what? This is exactly what I will become one. That is exactly what I will become one day. The best there is. My mind's made up. No more of this rich boy stuff. It's time to start busting some heads and making a statement about myself. I won't stop until the whole world knows my name with great reverence. Kids will love me, girls will adore me, guys will respect me as a legend. Beautiful. And then here comes little Ray Ray. He's like, well. Never thought I'd see you back here. He's kind of poking fun at him a little bit. Um, and if you guys don't know, back then he didn't have all the tattoos and all those tattoos on him. He kind of looked the same, just a bit younger. He was in ECW at the time, and Paul was in WWF at the time. In 1995 during this time, and he's pretty. Paul's trying to like argue his case, talk about, well, you're a rookie yourself, so what do you know? I mean, they both have a long way to go, and uh, little Ray is saying his touche mode, like, um, he's like, I'll be bailing out of there soon, and he's saying he just got a contract from WCW in this place too. I don't know if that's true, so I'm just gonna say it's fictional. Um, and he's saying he thinks he has just a tad bit more going off him. And then Paul's kind of getting annoyed. He's like, "Yeah, look, you get out now. You know, get out." It's kind of funny, um, And then Ray's kind of scolding him to the tad bit. He's like, "Relax. Don't let what I'm saying get you angry. That's your problem. You blow up at the most unnecessary of times. That's the main reason why you're not out there right now, big guy. Think about it. Has your anger gotten you anywhere thus far?" Well, according to future references, as in right now, his anger does give him a little fall. He's just learned how to control the anger and suppress it to where it can be a force where he can use, which I think is pretty awesome. You know, sometimes you have to get angry and slap bitches around just to break yourself down. Well, Paul reflects on that and about himself, coming out as the cool and sophisticated rich boy, Hunter Hearst Helmsley at the time, you know. and he's also a time bomb, which I thought he was back then too. And it's still due to a secreted inferiority complex that he hides from most people, and that's the sole reason why he's always angry on the inside, and his anger is unleashed during most of his matches, which I'm not sure if that's true, but you know, you have to make the story interesting. Um, and it's like that makes a lot of sense, and they start shooting the bull pretty much. Uh, then and then Paul sees something in the mirror. He sees a metalloid man with fluorescent blue eyes, or fluorescent white eyes. Um, and that just so happens to be one of the Eidolons. Um, and I'm not going to say the name, but let's just say that it's going to be Ray Ray's Eidolon way, way in the future, 15 years later. Might as well say about 5 or 6 years later, he's going to discover his Eidolon, and that spoiler. But yeah, they have uh, a supernatural encounter with this. Oscar is scared shitless and pantsless. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want to get scared of something looking at you through a glass mirror like this? Mm. Come on now. I mean, especially a metalloid person. Come on, looking like Darrell from Virtua Fighter, without the tits in a man's body. The thing is, the Eidolons are usually just as tall as the people that they're going to be accompanied with, because they are an extension of the person. So he's about as tall as excuse me, Oscar. I don't know how you say his first name. It's probably Oscar or Oscar. Um, and it's pretty strange. And the thing is, the Eidolon leaves a message in royal blue fluorescent light, and it says "Someday Master." So they're like kind of freaked out about that in a way. But then um, Paul begins to get more interested. He starts feeling the mirror. He sees that um, there is there is no sign of freezing sensations anywhere on this glass. It doesn't feel cold at all, and the Eidolon seemed friendly and kind of curious in a sense. And he thinks that the message is like the Eidolon is trying to say it'll return someday, and little Ray Ray is like, oh, like in a way, it's like that's a bunch of horror movie stuff, and he's like that's scary because like why would a ghost want to come after him? And in the story, he has a big fear of ghosts. So um, Paul says with confidence, "I'm not afraid, not one bit. This ghost had a message for us, which makes me suspect that something bad might happen in the future. Whatever it may be, I'll be ready for it. I suggest that you ante up on your skills as well, little man." And little Ray is getting all like, kind of coming out of his nervousness and trying to be confident, saying, "Yeah, you bet I will. I will become stronger just in case that ghost comes back, or whatever it was trying to warn us about. You can count on a new and improved big guy. It's decided." And you'll notice that in the series, Lil Ray Ray says it's decided a lot. That's like one of his biggest catchphrases. Usually, some of the characters have catchphrases, and that's one of his. Paul then has a deep gut feeling. This unexplained paranormal activity must be the harbinger of a great event. To what event does this message speak of? If only these two young men knew their lives are intertwined with the future endeavors of the infant Savior, but that's another story. Um, Actually, it is in they start discovering their intertwining with the Savior, the young unborn one, the young Savior, Xavier, right? And in the first real chapter, not the preamble, first real chapter. I don't know what I'm gonna call it, but it's gonna be something else. They'll be discovering around that time because they're going to come in contact with Xavier during a tour, they're going around the world, and they come to a place in China, which Xavier and Lien's baby, they are escorted there by a few of the brothers from the temple, who just so happens to watch TV, and they see them, and all of a sudden they come across the little boy, and it's just going to be a big event. It's going to be like a meeting of fate, you know. But that's the first real main chapter. Um, but yeah, guys, I'm going to end it right here, and I am going to go to Paranormal Part 2 in the next scene, the next video. Why did I say next scene? Anyway, stop button and kisses.